What's a moment in your life that changed everything for you?
Oh, well, that's easy. That was breaking my back in '97 and kind of leading me to where I am now, needing a cane or sometimes a wheelchair, depending on, yeah, definitely.
Can you talk about that a little bit? What happened?
Sure. So I was born with spina bifida, but I was very fortunate to be able to use my legs, even though, limited, but I was still able to use it. And so it was just, very normal. Like I don't have any feeling in my left leg from the knee down, and it's very weak, but it was just normal. But then I kind of pushed myself a little too much, as in, you want to fit in so bad, and I never wanted people pitying me. So I always went out of my way to kind of show, hey, I'm just as tough as you are. And then, of course, unfortunately, that poor decision led me to like play really rough tackle football, and then ended up getting hit in my back, which is probably much weaker than the average person. And then, yeah, so broke 3 vertebrae, and then thanks to all the surgeries, I have permanent tethered cord syndrome, which means my spinal cord's always being pulled and it creates pain. And eventually over the years, it went from only in my left leg to my right leg, and I lost the ability to really have one good leg to stand on. And so, yeah, it definitely changed everything because,
Right.
yeah.
So what would you say? I mean, that's a difficult thing to live with. How old were you when you had that?
15.
15. Okay.
Yeah.
So what helped you get through that?
It was tough at first. I had spent many, many nights crying and begging my mom and the doctors just to cut my legs off because I didn't understand. At that age, you're like, why am I being punished with, being in pain all the time? But eventually, I don't know why. I don't think I was super religious or spiritual, but at some point I was like, you know what? I'm going to take this as this is the universe preparing me for a big battle. And maybe I'm going to fight the devil someday. And so this is like building up my tolerance. And somehow like something just clicked, and that's just how I thought of it. And so I just dealt with it that way, going, you know what, bring it on. So instead of making the pain make me feel bad, I was like, yeah, bring it on. If this is what you want to do it. I'm better than you, devil.
I see a lot of people, right, especially middle-aged people, are giving up.
Yeah.
And we want to try to, give them some hope.
Yeah, and and you get it. It's been almost 25 years now, something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
And I definitely, when it started spreading my right, and I was like, geez, I can't, like I had to start using a wheelchair or a cane. I had to stop driving until I got hand controls. That was definitely a low point for sure. Because then at that point, up until then, I had refused any kind of pain meds because I was like, no, I don't want to be addicted to anything. I'll just deal with it. But I kind of had to give in, and like I got to find some solution because I can't keep going on like that. And there's definitely were down times with that because you're trying to balance all the side effects of these pharmaceuticals they're shoving down your throat, all the trying out new technologies that don't work, and then possibility of addiction, and it's just all these things you're trying to balance while also trying to fix yourself. So yeah, I get it, but I don't know if it's you have to find, like, if you can't do it for yourself, you got to maybe find someone else then to stay hopeful for, So for me, it'd be like my wife. Obviously, want to make a good life for her. Yeah.
What's the hardest thing you've had to overcome in life, and how have you overcome it?
I feel like I wouldn't place a like a definitive it's been overcome, but I would say, because I think every kid probably is told by their parents as they're growing up, like, you can do anything you put your mind to. But when you have a physical disability, you learn fairly quick that that's kind of bullshit, right? No amount of putting my mind into anything was gonna let me get into the military. And I tried many, many times. Because I come from a military family and I wanted to make my granddad proud, but it's like, no amount of putting my mind to it is gonna get them to accept me, Same thing for the fire department, being a police officer. I tried for the LAPD when I moved out here. And I was like, I can fake it. I can just not tell them I have these issues, right? But no.
Right.
So I think getting past that disappointment with just life in general, like, oh yeah, this isn't actually the truth of the matter. And then just going, all right, well, I just gotta keep moving forward and figure something else out. Yeah.
So how did you do that? I mean, I think that's where people run into something difficult like that, and a lot of people give up. How did you keep going?
I think I was fortunate to have a supportive family where in a creative family, so I always loved art too, theater, all that stuff. So that's originally why I moved out to California, but turned out to be way too expensive to do that without a full-time job. So yeah, I think having other interests is what helps, because you're like, all right, well, these interests, like I would love to, all these standard heroic jobs that you grow up seeing in books, the policeman, the fireman, the military guy, like, okay, well, that'll never be an option for me, so let me just keep moving forward with something else, So went back to school, got a degree in game design, worked in the industry a bit, and then teaching it, and hopefully helping others find hope wherever there is hope to find.
What's something someone has said to you that really hurt and stuck with you, and how did you get through it?
That's actually, because I think it goes back to being a kid, and I despised it when people would say, let me help you with that. Can I do that for you, Jamie? Oh, I could not stand that. And that's what pushed me to really prove myself, and just play as rough and tough as I possibly could, because I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand that pity or them thinking that I was less than or weaker than. So I happily admit I'm very sensitive to the way someone says something to me. So if it comes across in a demeaning, it just triggers that anger in me.
So how did you get through that? How did you come to cope with? Maybe you're still coping?
Yeah, maybe still coping. I mean, I come from a half Italian family and another half redneck. So you have people that yell and scream, and they're not gonna not let you know when they're pissed. And then you have people that want to keep it inside and not really, talk about it necessarily. So I definitely saw both extremes and said, I don't want to be either one. Let me be in the middle and try to find that balance. And so definitely it's taking a moment, think before you speak kind of stuff, and then not even don't take things personal. Don't be I have this thing lately, I feel like I've been repeating this a lot lately, where it feels like we love to talk about empathy and understanding, and those are very important terms to me. But it seems as a whole, humans tend to, they'll talk about it all day long, go, yes, we got to be understanding, we got to be empathetic, we got to care. But the second they're affected personally in a negative way, it all goes out the window. They make assumptions, they think the worst possible scenario instead of giving anyone the benefit of the doubt. And then, that's it. All that empathy and understanding goes out the window. And it's like, what an amazing world it would be if we gave each other the benefit of the doubt more often. Right. Like, we're not the center of anybody else's world. So most of the time, they're not meaning to be, to have whatever they're doing or saying come across the way you take it. But I feel like we cannot get out of our own ass. So yeah, so that's I feel like that's my coping mechanism, is just going almost the George Costanza opposite, do the opposite of what you want to do. And so when I start to get angry, I'm like, no, what? Give them the benefit of the doubt. Just even when you don't think they deserve it, do it anyway,